Alrighty guys, welcome back. It's now time for game 2 of RoX.KiS up against ScaryFacezzzz. I'm Gods. Joining me again is going to be Vikramond. We've just had game 1, Vikramond. It's time for game 2 between these two Russian teams.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I think ScaryFacezzzz did. Whenever you see a brand new team against a very established team like RoX.KiS, you're always like, oh yeah, they're gonna get destroyed. And in the end, they did again end up losing fairly convincingly. But I thought that they played okay. I don't think that they're necessarily out just yet. They have secured themselves the clockwork this time, so we'll see if they manage to turn that around. Because of course, Business Perfect had an absolutely crazy game on clockwork in game 1. I mean, it was just dominant.
Yeah, picking up the clockwork first two, and even first picking the Chen though. So ScaryFace is just going directly towards two heroes that they just lost to. I feel the problem is they've given away a lifesteal of Visage though. Like,
yeah, I do think that Visage. I think in Winter made this comment earlier, and I totally agree. It's very difficult to ban this hero now, so you basically have to either pick him in phase 1, allow him to be picked in pick phase 1, or I mean, maybe you have a strat and you don't care about Visage at all. But he's such a strong hero. He's so excellent in tri lanes. Lifestealer Visage is a great combo too, of course, because Visage can use Grave Chill from a fairly long distance, which gives Lifestealer all the time in the world to walk up and land his open wounds, even with the nerfed range. So if I'm ScaryFacezzzz, I'm really looking at bolstering my tri-lane prowess right now, so I make sure that Lifestealer Visage can't just walk all over it in, for instance, an aggressive tri-lane.
yeah, and you can even, something we've seen a couple of teams do recently, just put Lifesteal in like these 1v1 matchups, like put him safe lane against Clockwork, and then you can still go for an offensive tri-lane, but with a different tri-lane farmer, because Lifesteal with sort of the nerf to his open wounds isn't quite as strong anymore in those offensive tri-lanes, but RoX.KiS are very versatile with these two picks. Like, they can go offensive tri-lane, they can go safe lane, Lifestealer can just straight up go in a 1v1 matchup, he can offlane as a solo hero. They're not really limited to any one sort of setup based on these picks.
Yep, and interestingly, in this game, we haven't had bans on any of the new Captain's Mode heroes, so I wonder if we'll see one of the two teams diversifying into that as the draft goes on, because nearly all of those heroes have a lot to recommend them, honestly. With the possible exception of Centaur. I'm not sure if anybody's quite figured out how to run Centaur yet. And he has a terrible win rate, but he's still a hero with potential. But when I say that, I'm more talking about heroes like Troll Warlord, Abaddon, of course, we saw in game 1, and Elder Titan.
Yeah, Elder Titan and Troll seem to be the big two that are very relevant in the current metagame. Elder Titan, a number of players think is probably one of like a top tier 1 pick all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm right up there with Bulba. I think Elder Titan is kind of an insane hero. Here's the thing. He was first pick status pre 6.75 in Chinese Dota 1, right? And he got like a nerf or two, but he got huge buffs. That controlling the Ancestral Spirit is just insane, because it used to be you had to mirror its movements. So for instance, if you wanted to push it 1,000 units out, you had to walk 1,000 units, right? So for instance, one of the things he can do now, which is just stupid, is it's extremely difficult to go Roshan against Elder Titan. It used to be much harder to disrupt it because you'd have to put yourself in danger, but now you can just peck away at Roshan from like 2,500 units away. Anyway, I don't know if we'll see him at this point. I do think that ScaryFacezzzz lineup still can accommodate something like the Elder Titan. I'm starting to think we won't see Troll, which is too bad, but he doesn't really fit in either composition here.
Yeah, for now, ScaryFacezzzz, they picked up their two supports with a Bane Chan, but RoX.KiS reveal what they want to go for, which is going to be, it looks like a solo mid Storm Spirit, so likely see BZZ playing that, and they're going to have the Lifestealer Infest Bombs with a Storm Spirit, so this is a very scary mid-game domination strat coming out from them.
And Russian teams love playing that mid-Storm Spirit, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if there's a single team from the CIS region that this isn't like their favorite hero or up there. Of course, some people more so than others. Sharfik from Team Aspera only plays Storm Spirit, really, but RoX.KiS, it's certainly in their toolkit as well. I've seen Business Perfect on this hero before. It is a double-edged sword in some respects, because Storm Spirit is one of the easiest heroes in the game to overextend with and put yourself into somewhat unfortunate positions.
Yeah.
But as long as they play relatively carefully, and Lifestealer offers you a little bit of flex too, since, hey, even if you overextended, you're carrying another hero that can turn
you're not on your own. Lifestealer just acts as this big meat shield for you, so there is a Bane there to help deal with the Lifestealer, as well as Storm Spirit when he goes zipping in. And Clockwork, not bad, I guess, if you're against a diving Storm Spirit. But for now, ScaryFacezzzz with the Bane Mirana do get themselves a very strong tri-lane of sorts with Chen, Bane, Mirana. So Not something they can just straight up go offensive with, but it's definitely something they can just hold their own with and have a good laning stage.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting tri-lane. I do still think that RoX present a fairly credible threat to this. For instance, it's pretty hard to get Sacred Arrow on Lifestealer in general. Uh, if your plan is to combo Bane Mirana, this is actually a really, really tricky combo to make work because it leaves it up to the other team to try to disrupt it. If you land Nightmare into a long Sacred Arrow, the longer the Sacred Arrow that you go for, the more likely it is the other team just transfers the Nightmare over and manages to eat it.
Yeah.
Alternately, Lifestealer can just completely eat it by using Rage. So I don't think this has necessarily solved a possible tri-v-tri scenario. But, I mean, Mirana, she's a very, very long range. She shouldn't be threatened too much in the lane, even if her farm isn't amazing. So I think this lineup has potential, and there's certainly lots of Sacred Arrow combos here. There's Clockwork, there's Bane, there's even Chen with Dark Troll, Warlord, and Snare.
Yeah, no, we'll see what the last pick's going to be for both the two teams here. I think it's going to be the laning, the way, I think that's where ScaryFacezzzz sort of really fell behind quite heavily last game early on, was just having that weak laning stage. So that's going to be crucial from here, where they try and put these lanes. You can even consider maybe putting a Bane Mirana dual lane mid against a Storm Spirit, but they go Shadow Fiend instead, and while being a nice mid hero, this is a hero that can be easily rotated on by a Rubik Visage.
Yeah, Rubik Visage is a great rotate kill composition, and Storm Spirit is able to deal. If he goes into, for instance, heavy Static Remnant, which I think we might see in this particular game, he could just run in, use even rank 1 Electric Vortex will do the trick, because you do so much damage to that Shadow Fiend quickly that the Visage gets an almost instantaneous full charge Soul Assumption and potentially a second one by the time Shadow Fiend walks away. So this has definitely increased SFZ's exposure a tremendous amount. On the flip side, it does give them a credible dual core threat, even if Mirana doesn't have the easiest laning phase. As long as one of the two of them does well enough to carry them into mid-game, they might be okay. But I do worry. I mean, if we see Shadow Fiend being 0-5 at like 17 minutes, I don't see them winning.
I think they definitely needed that extra core hero. Mirana not really a true carry of any sort, so I think they needed some other kind of DPS here in the mid lane.
Right.
Whether you go the Shadow Fiend route or something more like a Queen of Pain is sort of, I guess, more personal
yeah,
preference. But
I think I would have liked Quap a little more here, just because, yeah, the exposure is just so much smaller.
All right, well, we'll introduce our two teams here. It's game 2 of SFZ. ScaryFacezzzz up against RoX.KiS. Over on the Radiant side, we're going to see Team ScaryFacezzzz, Cherry playing the off lane, again on the Clockwork. We're going to have Chen in the hands of Blackbeard. Solo mid Shadow Fiend being played by State. And then down in the bottom lane, it's going to be HZK supporting on Bane. And finally, Yamaha, the carry player, on that Mirana.
Yep, and RoX.KiS seeking to start their campaign to advance out of this group. As you mentioned, Gods, it's a very, very difficult group. Navi, Fnatic, Poseidon, all strong teams. RoX.KiS will want to go 4-0 today, and that campaign begins with this game too. In the off lane, we'll have Seedoi on the Nature's Prophet. We saw his Lone Druid last game. It was quite excellent on the other very popular off lane hero. In the middle, it'll be Business Perfect. His Clockwork last game was absolutely insane. Let's take a look at a Storm Spirit. And then the tri-lane will be composed of Sola on the Rubik, Yol on the Visage, and Nexus on the Lifestealer. What's your take on running this tri-lane safe, Gods?
I think it's decent. As much as you can go offensive tri-lane with a Lifestealer, Visage, Rubik, there's a lot of benefits to doing it safe lane. Like, you get your Lifesteal, the guaranteed farm. Visage actually benefits a lot from getting levels. I mean, as good as he can be in tri-lane versus tri-lane scenarios, if you get to like the 10-minute mark and have a Visage with level 7 and some decent just like arcane boots or just like a medallion, he offers a ton, and that's almost where he's at its peak. His peak isn't really at the level 1 to 3 laning stage of the game. So I think there's a lot of good benefits just doing a safe lane tri-lane. They can just zone out the Clockwork pretty well at the same time as well. So I think this is just sort of the safer option.
It definitely is the safer option. They know that they were able to sort of overwhelm SFZ in game 1, so it's a fine choice here.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you about building the Visage. The one potential pratfall I would have seen is that Clockwork could be could do a lot of interference. But he's gone Cogs first. I actually don't know if I like this on Radiant. I like it a lot on Dire. In fact, I think Cogs first is almost always correct on Dire. But on Radiant, I really wish he had taken Rocket Flare, especially because they didn't give him any wards to block the camp. So Rubik and Visage are going to have no issues leveling here, as well as pulling the creeps back a bit. And Clockwork doesn't have any recourse to block the creep camps with Rocket Flare. So I don't really see how Cherry gets good levels here without, again, exposing himself quite hard.
Yeah, and the two supports for RoX.KiS just doing a great job of just jungling and being as efficient as possible here early on here. The other good benefit of having this safe lane trialing is it opens up more space for the supports to roam and gank mid. Because if you're doing trialing versus trialing with an offensive trialing, your supports are kind of stuck in that trialing and can't help out. But in the defensive trialing, they can easily pick up a smoke early on and rotate around. BZZ getting harassed by a Harpy at the middle lane. That is not too fun. This is like Chen's investing a lot to do this, but at the same time he's actually not really stacking right now. So ideally he'd be like stacking a big neutral camp to maybe kill later with a Wild Wing, but for now he's just out of spite, just zapping away at the Storm at this middle lane with this Harpy.
Yeah, the Harpy definitely. I mean, you're completely right, Gods. He's sacrificed a tremendous amount for this. In fact, this Chen is level 1 at 3 minutes. Yeah. I think the calculation made by SFZ here is we really, really, really need Shadowfiend to have a good time. It's much more important that he have a good time than our Chen be able to level easily. So we're willing to make this investiture. It's much easier to do this sort of harassment with Enchantress and not skip a beat, of course, but we'll do it even with Chen just to pressure. Wow, BZZ goes down to 25 HP. That's the power of the Harpy Stormcrafter right there. Just in combination with States Raises got BZZ to... I mean, yeah, I think they're just guaranteeing Shadowfiend what they can, and Chen will pay the price for it, but that's a trade-off they're willing to make.
Storm's going to be okay-ish now. He's got his bottle arriving at mid lane. He's going to, I'd imagine, just immediately start bottle crowing. I think he's almost got to. He's taken a lot of harass here. The Harpy, oh, BZZ, going to find it, going to bring it down. There we go. That's going to make him a lot happier. As Harpy gets dealt with. And Chen, well, what's he actually achieved here? He has been stacking these neutral camps. He does find a Wild Wing, but this is only a double stack currently. So this is not really enough farm and experience to make up for what he's losing here, I feel.
Yeah. Quick question, not super related to this game.
Yep.
Is the stream on delay at all, or are we on no delay?
It's meant to be 2-minute delay. I don't know if we've actually set it on 2-minute delay since...
I think it might still be on Ace no delay, which is fine. I was just curious.
We'll change it up.
No, I saw Twitch chat out of the corner of my eye and like, oh no, Business Perfect drops! Yes. Nice triple raise. He gets every hit.
Yeah.
That was actually a pretty big mistake by BZZ kind of walking into the... He did land an Electric Vortex, but Shadowfiend wasn't low, and he only has 1 rank in Remnant and 1 rank in Overload.
Yeah.
So that's a good first blood. Shadowfiend now... I think the Chen Gambit early was completely worth it, because SF is now, what, 6?
Yeah, SF level 6, Storm Spirit level 4. He's really far behind. Nature's Prophet narrowly escapes a gank at bottom lane, and Arrow just clipping a Treant, so... Well, for the time being, it's SFZ with a really nice early game start here in Game 2.
Yeah, I mean, this is fantastic for State. He really struggled on the Puck Game 1 against Clockwork, which was somewhat surprising, because it's not that hard of a lane for Puck. But here he's 22 for 12 to 11 for 3 for Business Perfect. I think this is actually almost the ideal situation for SFZ because, I mean, not only have you guaranteed Shadowfiend a decent time, you've also held the Storm Spirit down, and Storm Spirit's really the most explosive element in this RoX.KiS lineup, so I like this. The only issue is if Seedor does well, and he's level 5, so he's having a good time, he can just be the Lifestealer delivery vehicle. They don't rely solely on Storm. Maybe goodbye Clockwork?
Yeah, Clockwork getting surrounded. He gets lifted out of the cogs as well. Lifesteal's trying to go in on him. Maybe, yeah, he's going to get this kill. Looks like the opens wounds with a rage is there. And, well, a kill going to RoX.KiS way. I think the big problem was, as great as this game looks like on paper right now for ScaryFacezzzz with how well SF's doing with the safe lane carry farming, there's just a couple heroes, the Chen and the Clockwork specifically, who are so far behind. Clockwork is still level 1. Chen is... He's only just hit level 2. He's reaching level 3. This is a very slow farm on a Chen. He's being very inefficient. And then I think having these two heroes both so far behind, as great as the SF is doing, it's not really enough. And SF isn't going to be able to just carry this game solo on his shoulders.
I do think he won't be able to carry it solo. I mean, I think the Chen situation is not necessarily fatal. His catch-up mechanisms are good. I definitely agree. I share a tremendous amount of concern about Clockwork, because he's still level 1. Even though Rubik at this point has been, like, he wandered into mid for a while, Clockwork still doesn't feel the safety to actually go into lane and get XP. And, I mean, it's not like he's wrong, because as soon as he did try to get some XP, he got immediately killed before earning a single experience point. And they have a deficit on levels in general relative to Sola and Yol, because they've just been nonstop pulling this jungle. Even the Bane... HZK is not quite up to level 4, and all he has to his credit is a magic stick. So I do think everything except the Shadowfiend is not in the shape you'd want it to be. we will have to see how much freight the Shadow Fiend really can carry.
Yeah, because he's got a 3-level advantage on Storm at mid lane. He's level 8 to the level 5 of Storm. And even despite that, RoX.KiS still have a 1500 experience lead. So that just goes to show how badly these other lanes are somewhat going for ScaryFacezzzz. But well, we'll see what this SF exactly can do. He's got trades. He's really pressing BZZ here. Could almost just straight up kill him here with this double damage rune, opting not to dive onto the tower. Here comes the Rubik rotation from Rubik and Visage. Can they get this kill? SF maybe needs to turn and fight, but the burst damage is there. Nature's Prophet even TPing in to make sure of it, dropping the Wrath of Nature as well. I like RoX.KiS not taking any chances. They know they have to immediately kill the SF, because if he turns and gets off 2 raises, they maybe lose Storm, they maybe lose a lot more.
I think they certainly could have lost Storm, and that was a very well-timed, pretty auspicious TP over from Sidoi as well, because he manages to be part of a kill and avoids an incoming gank from Blackbeard, who was carrying in a Dark Troll summoner. So now they're going to transition to just pushing this tower. I think they can probably get it. I just don't know how much that gives them, per se. I think getting a tier 1 is very nice, but doesn't fix your level deficit. Maybe they can start rotating over and start generating kill opportunities. I would love to see this Mirana start to get involved. Nice arrow. Ah, good dodge by Solo.
Well, that Dark Troll is really pushing forward. That's just 1 hit away from dying, and it actually does give Rubik some experience there. Rubik now up to level 5, and well, this is... It could be... They're still not actually getting this tier 1 tower just yet. Rubik, if he's fast, can maybe get this denied. Is anyone going to come in and try to get this last hit? It doesn't look like it. Rubik, tier 1 tower denied, so Solo going to be happy with that.
After all that effort they went to actually push that tower down, losing it to the deny from Rubik is kind of brutal, honestly.
RoX.KiS, they took game 1 handily. Right now, game number 2, despite the mid lane mishap, is looking, I'd say, still reasonably good for them. It's only a 1,000 gold lead early on here, but all in all, RoX.KiS, their lineup isn't really even reached its peak yet. Once we see Lifestealer pick up his armlet, Stormspirit has got his ultimate now, but we haven't even looked towards any Infest ganks coming out just yet.
Sure, and I mean, for now, Lifestealer is content. I mean, keep in mind, Nexus went Midas.
Yeah.
Which is a fairly unusual choice, but I've actually seen Nexus do it before. He does kind of favor the Midas and Lifestealer more than a lot of players do. I think the strategic rationale here is basically, well, Storm is not having a great time mid, so this game is probably not going to be win at 15 minutes just on Storm and Lifestealer getting huge immediately. I mean, keep in mind, Business Perfect is, what, 30 last hits behind State in this mid lane, even with the kill. So if we know that the game is going to go relatively long, why not go double Midas? Get the Midas on Nature's Prophet, get the Midas on Lifestealer, and then around 25 minutes, they'll be so far ahead of SFZ, especially considering how late Mirana really peaks as a hero.
And if they lose SF here, this is really going to hurt SFZ.
Oh no. Yep, he's going to drop.
Almost brings down Rubik with him, but as well as he can be doing in the middle lane, he can't be pushing up that far on his own.
For sure. Especially, they don't have, their detection is not great. Sorry, I should say their vision is not great. They've got a ward at this rune, but they don't have a ward covering this angle of approach. Not to mention, if he's this far up, a TP is very, very easy as well. So, unnecessary vulnerability from State, definitely.
Well, that's costly for him, and he's the one hero who's doing really well in this Radiant team, having hit level 9. But as it stands, RoX.KiS up 3 kills to 1, and there's still just been no real answers or solution to the Lifestealer free farming. And the Storm, sure, he's been shut down really well, but this is a hero who can also make do with just minimal farm and items as well. He can still bring the Lifestealer into fights, even if he just has like a couple now talismans or just treads. It's not really, this game isn't really dependent at all on him getting items, because like you say, the double Midas on RoX.KiS is going to mean they have a Nature's Prophet and
Cherry is probably dead
really
solo to Nexus in the top. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
he got too close. He immediately gets open wounds, the rage is used, he's too close to cogs, and you just lose your clockwork. I was going to say the one nice thing about the rotations from RoX.KiS is that it's given room to Chariot a bit. Oh, here we go. This is perfect jumps in.
Yeah, they want to zip in here. Storm actually going to be forced back. I'm not sure if they can chase this up much further. Soul Assumption's coming out of the chain. They got detection, they do, and the Chen gets brought down, so SFZ. I don't think they want to take too much more of a fight here, as also Nexus showing up with the Lifestealer. He's got his drums flying on now then. Oh no, SF caught out. This could be another death him in quick succession. He's got souls, Requiem is soul. Requiem does go down, and now they're going to lose the Bane as well. Cherry in trouble. This is going to be absolutely catastrophic for ScaryFacezzzz in the second here. Rubik getting low, but I don't even think he's going to go down. Nope. Still alive. TP's out of there. And very little being picked up in return by ScaryFacezzzz.
Yeah, this was the flip side of the decision early on by Chen to focus on guaranteeing the very early lane phase for Shadow Fiend is that Chen and Bane then didn't feel comfortable rotating into the middle to help Shadow Fiend after that. They were like, well, crap, we're so behind relative to their supports that we need to farm. We can't spend any time heading to the middle. And we already spent so much time, so much energy on State winning that lane that we really can't delegate any more attention to that. But that's, I mean, Shadow Fiend, even 2 levels ahead of his mid opponent, which he was at the time, is still very, very vulnerable to ganks. So RoX.KiS just used the relative inefficacy of the supports from SFZ to roam to just abuse that and continually kill the SF. And now they've secured themselves a very, very strong advantage as a result.
You've also got to sort of, I guess, wonder a bit, like, the Mirana pick for SFZ has really not accomplished a whole lot. Isn't even farming that well. Looking at the CS, Mirana is 4th on CS. This is a safe lane farming Mirana. Hasn't been involved in any of the action. It's 0-0-0. So,
Right.
all in all, I feel like this pick has not justified itself at all for
I mean,
SFZ.
they didn't even kill Sidoy, even given the fact that Bane... I mean, if you ever land a Nightmare on Nature's Prophet, it's a free kill, and they didn't quite manage to do that. So yeah, they definitely don't look as sharp, I think, in this game as they did. I mean, again, it's partially draft. Uh-oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Could be in trouble. No.
Looks like ATK gonna be brought down middle lane. That's the Bane. Mirana invis actually. Oh no, about to say the Central Web was there earlier, has been taken down already. So.
And meanwhile,
lane. Yeah.
Shadow Fiend will be sent home, thank goodness, because he was about to die again.
It just means the Chen goes down instead. So. I think RoX.KiS will quite happily take the slightly less important kill. Better than nothing for him. Yo, arrowed at mid lane, Starfall to follow up. Okay, Mirana getting involved as we do see a kill on the Visage at middle lane, but even so, very limited involvement coming out from Mirana.
Yeah, and his net worth is starting to really, really lag. He did rotate into the middle, and so did Nexus, but Nexus got several kills out of his rotation into the middle. He's now 3-0-3. Whereas Mirana, the middle rotation wasn't paid off until just now, and it really isn't worth it in the end because he contributed next to nothing to that mid engagement, other than using Moonlight Shadow, which he could have done safely ensconced in the bottom lane.
Yeah. And
so now Nexus...
Nexus has double the Mirana CS, as well as net worth,
exactly.
essentially. So
yeah, I mean, he's... What is he building right now? Is he going to go for SNO? I know he has the full armlet, so... I don't know.
14 minutes
Seems
phase
dangerous.
drum Midas armlet is damn impressive.
It really is. And Nexus is he's a pretty excellent one-role player, I feel. Yeah. One of the more safe one-role players in the CIS scene, I feel. He doesn't sort of go all in like Silent or sometimes supposed to do. More of that all around, I'll farm up and then I'll really try to punish you. And Lifestealer is one of his best performing heroes from a win rate perspective.
Yeah, now with this lead RoX.KiS, they've got such great map control. They can take Roshan almost at will, using the Prophet as well as the Medallion on the Visage. They're going to have a mech on their side as well. It looks like Nature's Prophet opting for a mech rather than the split-pushing Shadowblade. I kind of like this little deviation, because it gives RoX.KiS such a dominating teamfight right now.
Yeah. Maybe not, though.
Well, they get the kill on Rupik, it looks like. Grip being used on the Rupik, so they won't have that spell for the fight that's going to maybe break out here. Familiar's taking a bit of damage. The T1 tower looks like may get denied here. Bane actually saps some Familiar, gets 1 kill, but here's Nexus. Nexus going to force a hook to the low ground. Soul Assumption immediately finishes off the kill on the Clockwork, and now State, he's on the run. Zip in, pull. Oh, Nightmare, you maybe want to toggle that off. It actually gets arrowed now. State going to be sent home, though. Alright, so nice little clash for SFZ, all things considered, at the middle lane.
Yeah, I think that was quite decent, and all these last few Chen sendbacks just make me wish that Chen was around earlier to try to send these back while Shadow Fiend was being chain ganked in the middle. Of course, he was trying to catch up on levels, but they lose Cherry again, but at this point, Cherry, even if SFZ win, the Clockwork isn't likely to be a major part of it. He's mostly a hook bot at this point.
Roshan's going to be the next target for RoX.KiS. They get scouted out immediately by a Rocket Flare, but they don't seem to care at all. They've got 4 heroes coming towards the Roshan pit with Stormstrick showing up as well. The one hero they don't have is this Rubik, but it doesn't... SFZ, another Rocket Flare goes out. Arrow maybe even come from Yamaha. He's trying to time it maybe to try and steal Roshan. Arrow goes in, a little bit too late.
Close, actually.
Yeah, very close.
It was really well timed, I feel. Oh, nice leap as well. Actually, decent play from Yamaha in the last 30 seconds or so, but not enough to turn it. Just those very narrow margins of error on that.
Well, SFZ, they're just giving away too much here, I feel. They're just not contesting Roshan, giving away too much free kills and just too much uncontested farm as well without getting much farm for themselves, it feels like.
I mean, RoX.KiS basically, and this is the sign of a really smart team, right? I don't think RoX.KiS knew any more about SFZ than you and I did going into this game, or they didn't necessarily know. But they took lessons from the first game. What they learned from the first game is that Cherry can struggle a bit in the off lane, and just in general, RoX.KiS can rely on very solid laning. So they decided, both in the draft and in terms of their item progression, that hey, if we don't face any issues in the lane, let's go a little greedy and then have a mid game in which we're going to be just much, much, much beefier. And I think that paid off completely because Seadoy was able to get Midas very smoothly, so was Nexus, and now you're seeing those Midases start to pay off, even as they seize control of most of the map. And even though Business Perfect had a bit of an unexpectedly difficult time mid, it was at some cost to SFZ in terms of further weakening their lanes.
Yeah, now that they've got themselves like these decent mid-game items with the help of the Midas pickups, it's going to come down to, hey, they can take down all these outer towers pretty much uncontested. They take a tier 2 mid with next to no fight. They now swing bottom. With Aegis on their side, there's no way that SFC can even try and initiate and take a fight outside their own base. They just haven't got the farm and items to do so. Mirana with a Yasha just isn't that much of a threat. Clockwork is just, like, I mean, he can hookshot, but he doesn't really offer much more than that. And the Shadow Fiend is going to have a BKB, but even with BKB up, I still don't see him trying to take fights for SFC.
Right. I mean, getting BKB is well and good, and in fact, he has it now, so even with the deaths, I think State has been doing okay. He's at level parity with Lifestealer, even though Lifestealer, of course, had a Midas to rely on. But Lifestealer has Aegis, so SFC still have to play very cagey and safe. The main problem for that is Chen is not great in a position where you're trying to play cagey and safe, because where is Chen going to find levels? Where is Chen going to get higher than level 6?
Even a similar story for the Bane, I feel. Bane can sort of be looking just to wait for overextensions from RoX.KiS and trying to punish them using Fiend Script, but in general, he's not a hero who can offer a whole lot when playing defensive. Uh-oh, TP's towards the top lane. Storm going to maybe go for a zip, and after this, he's got an infested lifesteal on him. Who's he actually going to go? It looks like Mirana. Yamaha's going to be the target. Can he find anyone else? He's still zipping after the Clockwork here, and Cherry has a TP. Question is, can he find an opening to use it? It looks like that's going to be a very big, tough question for him. The lifesteal actually doesn't have any drum charges left, so chasing this is not going to be too easy, and it looks like he will get a TP out, so... Clockwork escapes, they lose Mirana, but...
Well-placed cogs.
Yeah.
I do think if Mirana had aimed the arrow a little bit better, they could have actually both escaped. He was a little off the mark. Not really too much of an excuse, because there's a big ring where the person is going to appear, so you just shoot it at that ring. But maybe he was bad at ring toss in Carnival games as a kid, because he shot it here.
Well, I think RoX.KiS quite happy to sort of commit 3-4 TPs top just to get the one kill, because they also want this top tier 2 tower, so they're happy to rotate up here anyways. This is our last outer tower left for SFZ, and it looks like there's next to nothing they can do to defend it. 20 minutes in, they're going to have no towers outside of their base remaining, and they're going to be behind by a big, big gold margin.
Yeah, I mean, RoX.KiS are just seeking to pressure them out. As long as they have this Aegis, there's no reason not to just continue pressuring. It's two minutes and change on it. Oh my god.
What, straight up grip just going on the lifesteal there. And that's a lifesteal with Aegis. I think the rest of SFZ was like, are you crazy, man?
Yeah, that's...
We're not backing you up.
Oh, man. A little bit of trash talk, even. He's like, why would you do that? Or rather, for what purpose? And Yamaha says, for laughs.
Right now, SFZ, maybe a bit of humor and fun is all that's left for them, because this game is really not looking going too well. They're going to see Lifesteal take a fall here. BKBSF may just want to pop a Requiem of Souls here. Lifesteal going to be coming out immediately arrowed. He actually may take a fall here. Requiem of Souls gets used, and Nexus, oh, he gets the Infest off. The Deny coming a little bit too late, and Nexus is going to survive this. I can't believe he actually got out of that. Grip got stolen by the Rubik, got used on state there. Rubik now in a bit of trouble, taking a lot of damage. It's a Clockwork hookshot into sort of a number of heroes here. Nexus gets brought down by a Shadow Fiend right click, and HZK on the Bane. Well, he's going to be A-OK for the time being, but with Lifesteal on the sidelines, it looks like SFZ.
Nice arrow, but... meh.
They bought themselves some time.
They definitely did. Nexus, maybe he felt that he wanted to equalize the decision of the Bane by walking up to the high ground without his team. It was almost the exact same play, except one is with a Bane and one is with a Lifestealer with Aegis. But so it took a little bit of a while to bring him down, but they did. They did. The next push will have Desolator with it.
Yeah, they'll the Desolator. It's still a bit risky and hard to push high ground without having an Aegis on your team, but Lifestealer can just sort of go to the high ground with Rage, back off when Rage is wearing off, so they can just look to try and slow siege it.
Yeah, and I think that's what they'll mostly seek to do. They do have the Midases that they got fairly early are now starting to pay off in terms of gold, and of
Yeah.
course they already paid off in terms of XP with the Nature's Prophet. I mean, just look at this offlane comparison. In games 1 and 2, really, this has been the biggest differential point. Seedoy is really just performing vastly better than Cherry is. And this time he's 13 to Cherry's 8. He has 10,000 net worth to Cherry's less than 3,000. I mean, it's a very, very big differential. Interesting build, by the way, by Seedoy. Very old school also, with the Mechanism Force Staff. More of a supportive Nature's Prophet than the split pushing of Yor.
Yeah, really useful against the Clockwork having this Force Staff. Clockwork's trying to chase him down here in the jungle. Sure, you can hook him, but this is where the Force Staff comes into play.
Yep.
Force is a bit early. Like, well, I say early. Normally you want to wait for the cog, but
I think that Cherry messed that up, honestly. If he had battery assaulted earlier, I agree. The Force Staff would have just pushed him into more battery assault.
alright, well. Looks like Retaliation is now coming. They've killed off one already. They're going to get a double kill, the Nature's Prophet. Actually, a third hero, Chen, even going down.
Sola
RoX.KiS.
stole the grip again.
Oh, and Cherry now. He's got no way out of this one. Full stuff a teammate over the cogs? No, not even going to matter here. Cherry going to be brought down with ease. A Soul Assumption and some lifestealer right clicks bring him
There's
down.
there's that Clockwork nerf, right? Bulba's watching this game and being mad because doesn't push lifestealer when he's in rage anymore.
Unfortunate. Well, Tier 3 tower going to get sieged from the on the high ground, and RoX.KiS has nothing standing in their way here in game number 2. It looks like maybe not going to see a GG call right away, but game 2 more or less in the bag for RoX.KiS.
Yeah, RoX.KiS definitely an even more convincing victory in this game 2 than game 1. I mean, SFZ, at the end of the day, I have to say it is... They just need to practice drafting, probably. Because, I mean, you said it, Gods. At the moment that they picked a Shadow Fiend, you were like, well, they've just opened themselves up to all sorts of shenanigans from RoX.KiS, and they had to bend over backwards to make the SF work at the cost of any sort of farm on Chen whatsoever. And, okay, yeah, you made the SF work, but you've almost made your lineup even riskier because it now it relies exclusively on the SF somehow taking over the game. So I don't think SFC looked awful. Certainly sometimes we just see teams completely outclassed. I think as a debut to the pro stage, they've made themselves look like a team with potential. The two things are drafting and the offlane in general are what I think they need to shore up.
Yeah, the offlane, Seedoy just really highlights how you can get so much out of it. And at the same time, I think game 1 they almost gave him too much. Maybe the supports needed to do a bit more as far as zoning out Seedoy and just being a bit more successful and useful with their time, like going for that smoke gank and not getting it. Either you need to just use pulls and just accept, hey, he's going to get some farm and XP, but we're going to make sure we're getting good pulls, good farm ourselves, or you make sure you get those kills. Not getting the kill will really set them behind.
For sure. So I guess that's the end of this series. Best of 2, right?
Yep, best of 2 series. So RoX.KiS, they're now on top of the group after our opening match. They're 2-0. They have another match coming up shortly against Poseidon. So that's going to sort of to see if RoX.KiS can start off day 1 with a 4-0 group lead, which would be a pretty great way for them to start things off. You'll be joining me for the next series as well?
Surely. Yep.
Cool. Well, everybody stay tuned. Our next series of today, I believe, is going to be coming up in about 30 minutes' time. We may be starting a bit early, as sometimes these WePlay games do. So do stay tuned. And also, if you're interested in winning I believe there's a GLaDOS announcer pack. WePlay doing a giveaway over on their Facebook page. So check it out. It's facebook.com/WePlayDota2, I believe, or just search WePlayDota2. I think it's some kind of a drawing contest. I'm not really too sure. I'm not very good at drawing myself, but...
You're better at Enchantress cosplay?
Yes, better Enchantress cosplay. let me get this up. Yeah, so it's a drawing contest. There's going to be a Portal Dota 2 pack. This is
nice.
what I'm looking at here. So this is the information for it. It's over on the WePlay Dota 2 Facebook, and you have to draw a picture. Can even be in paint. Anyone can do it. With the theme of First Blood, and make the signature with WePlay TV and Dota Trade. So if you guys are interested, check it out if you want a portal pack for Dota 2. But for now, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in about 25 minutes time with our next 2-game series, which is going to be RoX.KiS up against Poseidon. Thanks, everyone.